kalikasang araw po. My name is Gianna Llanes, your Miss Philippines Water 2020.
Indeed, isang makakalikasang araw sa inyong lahat. This is Patricia Santos, your Miss Philippines Air 2020, and saying, I missed you, everyone. I hope that you guys are having a great day. Hi, Jana, my sister, and I am very happy to be back here with you in this show because, we've been taking quite a break.
Yes, so we are finally back, and thank you for continuing to support us, to all of you watching throughout the past few months during our raid. Alam nga namin na sadly we're getting closer and closer to the end of our time with Miss Philippines Earth, but not yet. We want to make sure that we continue to spread our advocacies and really do our parts in making a difference. Now, last week we saw that may bago nga tayong segment dito sa ating mga social media pages, but we're actually gonna do another one today, and we're so excited to be discussing with all of you some relevant topics that are happening right now, and this new creative concept that we have in order to really connect with all of you that are watching. But before that, I want to ask my sister over here, how have you been doing?
Well, Jana, I really miss having all the queens together. I have to say you look very beautiful today. And I have to also report to everyone that I've been leading a pretty boring life, I think, because I've been focused so much on my work. I do mention before that I've been working in the Supreme Court, and we just started doing our part for the anti-terror law oral arguments, which started last February. And we also did a project about addressing the issue about violence against lawyers, prosecutors, and other members of the legal community. So I've been pretty much buried underneath that. And I've been seeing, all the other girls doing so many fun stuff. And but it's pretty rewarding nonetheless, especially considering the career path that I wish to have in the next few years. But I have to say, and I'm happy to report also that we've been gaining ground in our environmental advocacy because with my foundation, the DIWA, Sustainable Aid for Filipinos, we've been able to give out this January 2 more sets of urban gardening toolkits to our JODA beneficiaries. And of course, I'm very happy to see that our guidelines for the quarantine, are slowly being eased up, and they're finally getting their lives back. So many drivers are getting back their roads. They're driving out there, and I'm very happy to see that. And of course, just this morning, before I forget, I would like to thank, of course, the reigning Miss Earth 2020, Lindsay Coffey, who joined us. She was actually the moderator for our International Women's Day event with Greenpeace Philippines, wherein we were able to, share to people what we choose to challenge as environmental advocates, especially during the International Women's Day. So it's been a great reign. I know I will miss this, but well, we have to make way for the new ones coming in. But I like what Gianna said. She said, not quite yet. So, just keep supporting us. Thank you very much to everybody who has been very supportive to all our activities. Well, enough about me. How about you, Gianna? How are you guys? I haven't seen you all for quite some time now, but I'm very happy to see that you guys have been going almost in a lot of places, and that's so nice.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun these past few months. Actually, one of the biggest things that I've been working on writing a book about mental health. So I was going to release it this past month, but I still need a little bit more time. So I'm working on that, and hopefully I can publish that before the end of my reign. With that as well, I've been doing things with my initiative, which is Bukhaw. So our very own Miss Philippines Fire joined me to distribute relief goods to those who were affected by the typhoons that hit Marikina. And also I got to go to Atimonan with both Shayna and Roxy and take part in the events there. I actually just came from Siargao a couple of days ago, trying to get some color, but also I've been researching about the marginalized communities in both Siargao and Boracay and how we can help them out as well. So when I went to Boracay a couple of months ago, I was able to work with an indigenous school there, and now I'm looking to get school supplies over to them because they're lacking that right now. They're lacking access to all of that. So I'm going to try to be doing that and continue to carry on my initiative even beyond my reign. So I'm so excited that we have again this segment today because I feel like it's so important for us as queens to not just be focused on our initiative, on our respective advocacies, but also be alert on what's going on around the world. And I always said this as well. It's so important for us to generate that conversation, which is why we have this segment for all of you today. And as we're talking about this segment and getting through it, we're encouraging you to please comment down below. Let us know what other topics you want us to talk about. If you have any other questions that we would like to ask, let us know as well. And I'm going to turn it over to my sister to explain what's going to be happening today.
All right. So, dear Earthlings, today we will be showing to you Miss Philippines Earth Style Man on the Street interviews as our crew went on the streets of Mandaluyong to ask our ordinary man what is their opinion on various important and very critical topics that affects the lives of every Filipino. And for this session, let us hear from Jana. What is our topic?
Yes, so everybody has been talking about this, not just these past few months, but really for the past year, ever since the COVID-19 pandemic emerged. And we're going to be talking about the vaccines that have finally been released, to our frontliners and are getting to the general public. So we're inching closer and closer to really getting more and more people vaccinated. It's happening all around the world, and here in the Philippines, it's going to be starting very, very soon. I remember in these past few weeks, this is one of the biggest topics my friends and I discussed, whether or not we're going to get vaccinated, our opinions on the different vaccines, and I'm sure so many of you are talking about that as well and want to know everybody's opinion on it. So as Pat mentioned, we actually asked numerous netizens, people from different backgrounds, on their own opinions, how they're feeling about it, whether or not they're going to avail of it. And we're excited to hear what they have to say.
That's true. In fact, as we are, going through this video, and as we are watching all the different answers, we'd like you to let us know, what do you think about the new vaccine? I mean, would you be amenable to taking the vaccine? Or are you one of those people who would like to take a step back and observe first before, getting in line when the LGUs finally roll out the free vaccines? I mean, I don't know about you, Gianna, but in our place, QC is offering the vaccines for free. I think my workplace also in the Supreme Court are offering the vaccines for free. And the question here really is, are you going to take it or not? And it's interesting to see how the people we actually talk to on the ground will react. Because sometimes you might think, for sure they would say like this and like that. But if there's one thing I've noticed about this issue, people are very divided. They come from different spectrums, and it's nice to see their opinion. And I think I won't delay as much further. We would like to watch the videos with you, and maybe after that, we will be revealing our answers, our own answers to that very important question. Will you or will you not take the vaccine?
Okay, so let's get to the videos, but before that, we do want to give a little disclaimer. We wanted to assure you that our staff that conducted the interviews made sure that they followed proper social distancing guidelines. They wore the proper gear to ensure that they stayed safe throughout these interviews. So I hope you enjoy the answers of our netizens. Okay, with that, let's get to the questions. The very first one being, aware ba kayo na may vaccine na available na sa bansa? Magpapa-vaccine ka ba? Oo o hindi, at bakit?
Sabi,
Tapos kung meron po, magpapavaccine ka ba? Oo, hindi. At bakit?
hindi.
Hindi po. Bakit po?
Kasi kung tatablang ka rin lang at nabakunahan ka, bakit ka pa magpapabakuna? Kumbaga sa ano, ako ang bakuna ko ang dugo ng Panginoon, ang salita ng Diyos. Kaya bakit ako matatakot? Hindi ako natatakot na hindi magpabakuna dahil kasama ko lagi.
Opo, aware naman po ako dahil binabalita naman po sa lahat ng news natin ngayon na na-release na yung vaccine na galing sa China.
Magpapavaccine po ba kayo, if ever?
If ever po na may chance, magpapavaccine po ako kasi much better na merong vaccine kesa yung walang vaccine para protected po tayo.
Kung ipapuputi naman po dito sa Philippines, pwede naman po. Ganun. Tsaka yung walang side effects. Kasi, di ba, karamihan din po kasi sa ibang bansa, parang may side effects po eh. Yun. Depende po kung yung feedback po ng vaccine eh, maganda po. Yun, magpapavaccine din po. Yun po.
All right, so that was the first question, and we had 3 respondents. Pat, what do you think about their answers?
Well, I think they're right. I like the fact that we were able to look into the different aspects. Tatlong tao lang yon, but we really were able to look at the different concerns that are surrounding the vaccine. Number 1, is it safe? Number 2, can everybody really have access to it? Like, does everybody really have a chance to get it for free? And number 3 is the factor of faith. A lot of our fellow Filipinos are very religious in nature, and I think we have to give it to them that a lot of them would like to give it up to the Lord, especially in times like the pandemics. A pandemic like this, you really see people clinging to their faith a little bit harder than they have ever been able to in their life. So I think those answers were fair enough. And I think they were really influenced by the media. Don't you think so? Because a lot of them were saying that they heard from the news, and I think that's nice, seeing people who are well informed. And our next question, which is very interesting. Dahil nagsimula na ang vaccination, sa tingin niyo ba ay matatapos na ang pandemyang ito?
Sa palagay ko, kasi ang bakuna ay para lang hindi magkakaroon ng awakan, pero hindi pa talaga siya yung gamot. Although, mababawasan na, mabawasan na, pero hindi pa talaga mawawala. Ano pa, tatagal kasi. Pero, kasi kahit na magkaroon naman ng bakuna, kahit nga yung bakuna na like sa anti-pneumonia, magkakaroon pa rin. Pero yung magiging effect ng sakit ay less na. Ganon. Hindi na siya ganun talaga, kalala. So, kumbaga, andun pa rin yung pandemya, mababawasan. Pero hanggat wala pang gamot, hindi mahihinto.
Kasi parang hindi ko naman kasi kulang pa kasi gano'n din yung vaccination na matatapos talaga. Kaya hindi.
Okay, so what do you think about these sets of answers?
Well, I think that it really shows na hindi tayo pwede maging complacent basta may vaccine na. Shows that people are also aware that even though maybe half of the population gets vaccinated, we can't just go out into our regular lives before the pandemic. We still have to continue to follow proper social distancing guidelines, to wear our gear. It's also interesting because the general public, no matter their backgrounds or their jobs, they know the purpose of a vaccine. And gusto ko yung sinabi ni ate na vaccine siya, hindi siya gamot. So, yun nga, we can't just take the situation for granted. I thought it was very interesting na I won't say that they were pessimistic, but they were realistic na hindi lang din matatapos na ganun-ganun na.
Yeah, as the saying goes, better safe than sorry. Well, let's now watch the next video. Sa pagkakaalam mo ba, ligtas nga ba ang mga bakuna para sa COVID-19?
Para sa akin, ito ay ligtas dahil una, pinag-aralan ito ng medical at siyensya. Pinaprobahan din ito ng ating FDA bago bukas sa ating mga So, sa tingin ko ito ay ligtas.
All right, so I actually thought that his answer was pretty interesting. What do you think about it, Pat?
Well, for me, I think it really underscores what is our main concern about this vaccine. I think it's everybody's main concern, whether or not they're for it or they're against it. The issue really is safety, and we hope that whatever brand vaccine your local government unit or your workplace will be offering to its people, I think it's reasonable to expect due diligence from all of them, making sure that the vaccines are safe and that making sure that there is a huge premium on life. Ika nga sana wag maging basta-basta ang pagbili ng mga vaccine dahil buhay ang nakataya dito.
I actually have to agree with that. I love how he said that matagal pinag-aralan itong mga bakunang to, and they have to get approved by the government, the health departments before they're distributed. So, great job to Kuya for answering kasi very alert siya sa mga nangyayari. Now, let's get to our next question. We have a few people answering this one, and it is, natatakot ka ba sa bakuna laban sa COVID-19? At bakit?
Oo, kasi hindi naman sure. Tsaka depende naman sa katawan ng tao kung paano mag-reflect yung gamot. Tsaka iba-iba rin naman yung klase ng vaccine. Hindi natin alam kung ano yung effect niya sa tao, kung meron siyang sakit or wala. Kaya parang hindi ko masabi kung safe na ba yung vaccine. Kaya natatakot akong gumamit or magpa-vaccine.
Opo, dahil sa mga napapanood ko ng mga hindi magagandang nangyayari pagka pinapakuna. Tsaka hindi sigurado kung ligtas ko.
Hindi ako natatakot kasi proteksyon natin sa katawan. Laban sa sakit.
Okay, so that concludes the answers for that question. And I actually thought it was interesting na yung senior citizen pa ang nagsabi na hindi siya natatakot sa bakuna because nakikita nga natin sa news that when it comes to the effectiveness or the percentages ng mga bakuna, ang mga failed siya or yung decrease is mostly on the senior citizens or those who are vulnerable. So I thought that was very interesting na iba yung opinion niya. But also, a lot of my friends also answer na natatakot sila sa side effects. But I feel like, going back to the question recently, all of these vaccines are FDA approved. They've been working on them for so long. So I feel like may advantage naman tayo dito sa Pilipinas in the fact na we weren't the first ones to receive the vaccine because we can listen to all of the research that they've had prior. So I think yun nga, all of the answers for this question are very valid, and it's interesting to hear the opinions based on their different age ranges and backgrounds.
Yeah, I agree with you. In fact, I'd like to just, share with everybody that it's really normal to feel fear at this point because we've been through a lot. And fear is part of life. But there goes that, it's just part of that. There goes the saying that fear is there, but it must not stop you from engaging in what needs to be done. So I hope that eventually people's fears would be allayed in the future by more research, more data, and we can only get that if people are brave enough, to engage themselves, to volunteer themselves to try this vaccine. So we move forward to our next question, and I think this is very interesting, especially for me kasi medyo kuripot ako. So our next question is, willing ka bang gumastos para sa bakuna?
Bakit po?
Kasi unang-una, mahirap ang buhay at saka wala tayo pang gastos para doon. Tama-tama lang sa pang-araw-araw yung kikitain. Ngayon kung magkakaroon pa tayo ng gastos para sa pag wala na, iilan kami. Hindi ko din natin alam kung kung magkano yung halaga ng bakuri. So wala akong pang budget para doon. Yun lang.
Di ako sure kung kasi sa dami natin.
Well, for that reaction, I have to say I felt our first reactor's answer because, as somebody who has been adulting for the majority of her 20s, I have to say that those are valid concerns, especially during the pandemic. We lost a lot of sources of income, our side jobs, our hustles. And I can understand the feeling that, oh my gosh, I have to set aside this money for the vaccine. But I hope that, they'd be able to think it over because even though my friends call me creepot, they've known me as the type of person who, prioritizes health because health is wealth. And at this moment, I know that we have a lot of expenses to think of, but we have to realize the value of making sure that no one in the family, gets sick of COVID. Because you all know, di ba, Gia, the past few months we've seen reports of families telling people, sharing their stories, and one of the things we've learned talaga is it's very expensive to get COVID-19.
Yeah, I actually thought it was interesting as well because I grew up part of my life in Canada where healthcare is free, and right now all of my friends over there are saying that they actually are trying to get more and more of their population to get vaccinated by really highlighting that their vaccines are free. And I hope that's a call to not just our government, our national government, but governments around the world that we have to prioritize health. Nakita nga natin yun during this pandemic when we don't prioritize health, the economy is hit, education is hit. So I hope that this question really opened my eyes and it really made me think as well. Siyempre, share natin ang ating mga reflections, Pat, after this last question, which says, naniniwala ka ba na kapag nagpa-bakuna ka na ay hindi ka natatamaan ng COVID-19?
Hindi. Kasi, ang virus nandyan lang, pero hindi ka magiging siguro.
Bakit? Hindi kasi mayroon akong narinig na kahit daw mabakunahan ka, tatablang magkakasakit ka pa rin, tatablang ka pa rin. Kaya yung iba dinudubli nila pagpabakuna.
Hindi pa. Hindi pa naman masyado. Hindi pa ako maniniwala na matawag ka.
Bakit po? Bakit hindi kayo naniniwala?
Nasabi naman sa TV yan na pag naano ka ng vaccine, makakapitan ka pa rin daw sabi. Ano ang sabi nila?
Kayo kuya, magpapabaksin ba kayo? Hindi.
Hindi pa.
Hindi.
Maniniguro mo na. Mahirap na iwanan yung mga anak mo.
Very interesting set of answers, huh? I really noticed a lot of things going on there. But what did you think, Jana?
I feel like I would actually have to agree. All of them said that hindi sila naniniwala na hindi na sila matatamaan ng COVID-19. And it really shows that we can't be sure. We hear stories of people getting vaccinated or even getting tested negative, and then they become careless after that. They go to social gatherings, they go to parties thinking that they're fine and they're safe. When we look at the research with these vaccines, none of them have been 100% completely accurate. Some of them still have lapses, so we can't be sure. And also, if we look at the research again, dahil nabakuna ka, it doesn't mean that you can't transfer it on to somebody else. So again, we have expressed it previously, we have to be careful no matter what, if we get the vaccine or not.
I agree with that. There's so much doubt. There's so much going on in their minds. You can see it in the way that they're answering the questions, and I think it reflects really the general sentiment. They want to do the vaccine. Some of them maybe, trying to test the waters, let other people do it first before they follow suit. But at the end of the day, I think we need to be able to respect whatever is their choice, because it all comes down to the issue of consent. And, I just wanted to put this out there that some news outlets have been informing us that some workplaces have been implementing no vaccine, no employment, or no work policy. And I hope that if anybody is watching here that is with, the private sector, you would stop these business owners from doing that, because even though I know we all just want to get back our lives, to get back to what we had before the pandemic, I hope we realize that these are people's bodies that we're talking about, and policies like these are violative of human rights. And now that all the questions have been rolled out, we are about to share with you what do we think about the vaccines. Our personal take. Are we taking it? Are we not? Are we waiting? Are we afraid? Well, Gia, what do you think?
Okay, well, before we state our opinions, we just want to tell everybody that these are our personal opinions. This does not reflect the opinions of, the organization or our respective jobs. But for me,
Or our fellow queen.
yes, it's just us. But on a personal note, I've had a few family members who have suffered from COVID-19, whether they have lost their lives or have lost a lot of their time, a lot of their finances, just trying to battle this pandemic. So I actually discussed it with my uncle, who is a medical worker, what he thinks about it. And I would have to agree with him. If there is an opportunity to get vaccinated without taking it away from the people that need it most, I would personally grab the opportunity. But that's me speaking from a point of view, a viewpoint where I'm healthy, I'm young, so the negative effects of the vaccine probably won't hit me as hard. I've also been talking to some of my friends from different countries that have gotten vaccinated about their own experiences, friends who are around the same age as I am, have the same health. And for a lot of them, the long-term benefits of the vaccine still triumph over the short-term negative effects. But once again, that's just on a personal note. I've always been one to think that we should never take risks with our health. We should know our bodies, especially for me, as a fitness instructor, as somebody who really believes in holistic wellness, it's so important to know your bodies and know how you're feeling first before you jump into anything. So that's my opinion on it. From my personal viewpoint, I would take the vaccine as long as I'm not taking it from the people that need it most, who are our frontliners from the marginalized communities. But of course, as a journalist as well, I would love to do more research about these various vaccines. We have, I believe, 4 right now that are really in the news. So from Mandaluyong, our LGU is offering the vaccines for free as well. Before signing up, know which vaccine you're interested in, which the LGU is offering, how you're feeling about it, how it's going to affect your family and friends. Just do more research, and like we did today, generate more conversation about it. So what about you? How are you feeling about the discussion today? What are your opinions?
Well, getting to listen to the answers of our kababayans, I have to say that I am one with the Filipinos in saying that, we feel fear, we're afraid, we have so many doubts, we have, so many things we have to think about this vaccine. But at the end of the day, what we have to do is to put aside our fear and our doubts. And I personally feel that and this can also be taken as advice, that we need to be brave. If there is any other time for us to be brave once again, we were called to be brave when we were asked to stay at home, when we were asked to trust and to stay at our homes in order to keep people from contracting the virus. And once again, we are being called to do our somewhat civic duty and engage in this vaccination. And siguro, coming from my background, I really just want to encourage people to participate and to to have a little trust, in our government and in our doctors who are trying their very best to, give back our lives. And at the end of the day, I have to agree with Gianna that if it will not take away from the people who need it the most. And who are these? These are the frontliners. These are the vulnerable, people with HIV, people who are senior citizens or children, and other backliners. I think these people must be prioritized, and then I would go after. And but of course, as Gianna also said, research is very important. And before you go forward and take the vaccine, please make sure that you're well informed, well researched, and that you are truly giving your consent. If ever you feel coerced in any way whatsoever, you are free to ask for help. And that is what us lawyers know. Lawyers are there for you. You can ask for help anywhere, anytime, because as I said earlier, it's your body, it's your temple, it's your right to choose what vaccine, if you want to go for it, or if you want to stay and wait for some time. So it all comes down to our freedom as people. But I hope that some of you would be able to do a little sacrifice and be a little more brave.
Yes, and with that, I always say this as well. I feel like we just gotta wait a little bit longer and things really are going to get better. Konting tiis na lang, and yeah, we're going to get our lives back eventually. With that, konting tiis na lang rin, and we're going to actually meet our newest delegates for Miss Philippines Earth 2021. I'm sure so many people have been messaging you as well, asking when are the auditions, when's the screening, when are we gonna know the new batch of girls? And that is actually going to be happening very, very soon. So please do stay tuned and continue to follow our social media accounts. We have our Facebook page, we have our Instagram, which is at Miss Phil Earth, and our YouTube channel, which is Miss Philippines Earth. And we're gonna be back again for another episode of our version of Man on the Street here on our social media pages. So please do join us for that. Continue to comment down below and let us know what you want us to talk about. So Pat, any last sentiments to share with our Miss Philippines Earth viewers?
Well, I would just like to remind everybody that in the middle of the pandemic, with everything that has been happening, we have to also remember that today is, or this month is International Women's Month, and on March 8th, it will be International Women's Day. And I would like to ask each and every one, what do you choose to challenge? Because for me, I choose to challenge for Mother Earth, the one woman who has been very strong, very sacrificial, and has been able to give everything that she has in order to create and support life. So I hope that this International Women's Day, you would remember this wonderful woman, you would remember Mother Earth, and I hope that you would continue to support our activities, especially our advocacies, in order to do our best to be better caretakers of our planet. And so, this has been Patricia Santos, your Miss Philippines Air 2020. As always saying, please be better caretakers of this planet.
And my name is Gianna Llanes, your Miss Philippines Water 2020. We'll be back with you guys again very, very soon. But in the meantime, please continue to practice social distancing. Wear your face mask, your face shield, wash your hands, stay sanitized, and make sure to treasure the time that you have with all of your family and friends, because that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned through this pandemic. Our time on this earth is finite. So let's make the most of every moment. We'll see you all again very, very soon. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye.